want to ask my father-in-law Luther and Susie, I don't know if you both want to come up, or Luther, you sent me a fascinating sheet and I asked if you'd share the things that you guys have been involved in. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, Susie and I, about 7 years ago, Stephanie broke our world, where are you, Stephanie? By telling us stuff that we just didn't believe were happening, and it began to rock our world. So we began to look into what we could do to help and find out what the agencies in the area were doing. First of all, we found out, we live in LA County, we found out that LA County wasn't really doing very much. They were still treating the sexual trafficking issue more as a prostitution drug addiction issue rather than really the exploitation slavery issue that it really was. We found out that Orange County was much more involved, and so we began to work with some task forces in Orange County. Real growth, however, has taken place recently in LA County since we got a new sheriff. There's a new sheriff in town. A new sheriff in town, Jim McConnell. Wonderful man, really got on ball on this issue. Within 2015, he was able to get a $1.5 million grant to begin pulling task forces together in LA County. Orange County had been way ahead of this issue, but LA County, with the new sheriff, really brought a lot of stuff in. In his brief tenure, he's become a real national leader in this fight against trafficking as a city. For example, I just want to give you some bullet points of what's happened since 2015. The department received this $1.5 billion grant to fund the establishment of a multi-agency called Los Angeles Human Trafficking Task Force. This put this evil industry on notice that Los Angeles now means business. How many of you could say not in our city?
Not in our city.
The grant to LA Sheriff's Department includes a partnership with an organization called CAST, the Coalition to Abolish Slavery and Trafficking. Anyone here interested in this new abolition movement?
Yes!
Well, time for an abolition movement, right? Not in our city. During the first year of the establishment of the grant, 18 governmental groups and 10 community-based organizations came together to fight trafficking. In that first year, 131 victims were rescued, and they were mostly minors, just in that first year. Early in that first year, Sheriff McConnell directed the sheriffs that they would no longer arrest minor sex slaves while enforcing sex laws. He said, there's no such thing as a child prostitute. And for law enforcement, that was a world changer. It was an absolute world changer, and that's what he enforced early on in 1915. He said children cannot consent to the act. They should be treated as victims of molestation and exploitation, not as criminals. This task force has become the nation's largest co-located human trafficking task force in the nation. That makes sense, as LA is in the top 13 cities in sex trafficking. Also, in that first year, on one weekend, 198 traffickers were arrested, 12 minors and 6 adults were rescued, and 115 were booked on soliciting prostitution. This was accomplished by the LAPD working together with the LA Sheriff's Department. In August of 2016, a similar bust resulted in similar numbers and similar numbers of children. February this year, 474 were arrested in a statewide sweep against trafficking. This was the third annual Operation Reclaim and Rebuild. In this sweep, 28 children and 27 adult victims were also rescued. The National Human Trafficking Resource Center lists California with the highest number of reported sex trafficking victims, 682 already this year. So these are just a few of the highlights of what the law enforcement is doing in our area. We're thankful for them as a citizen and taxpayer. We so much appreciate their efforts, and we really applaud their successes. So this is kind of just a report on what's happening in the trafficking area of enforcement.
Good.
Thank you.